Hello, hello, hello. Grateful afternoon. We are here. We are here. I'm LaShasta Bell, certified sleep and corporate wellness specialist, as well as a licensed professional counselor supervisor.
And hello, I am Micheline McCarter Bell. I am the CEO of HR Growth First. We are an HR company located here in Houston, Texas. We are super excited to finally be able to come on here and talk with you. This was a big desire of our hearts, and we wanted to make sure that we were able to come on and leave you with some tips and some resources as we talk about, really prioritizing your mental health and some of the recent things that have been going on just in the world. It was very important to us that both as practitioners in different areas that we came together and we were able to give you guys some resources that'll definitely help you on your way. So I'll get started because I do think it's important for the specialists in this area as it relates to mental health kind of ends the session, but I do have some tips from an HR perspective. So we all know right now the world has been literally on fire with a lot of different issues, a lot of different things on the political scene with law enforcement. If you're here in Texas, we've had natural disasters, kind of one after the other. People are trying to get their homes back to a sense of normalcy. And so all of that plays into our mental health. All of that plays into our productivity, how we show up to do our best in serving with the gifts that we have been given. And so, again, it was very important for us to pause and just talk to you all about some resources and some things that you can do to make sure that your mental health is in place as you continue to navigate through this world. So, from an HR perspective, right, what tips do I have for you? I have seen it all. I have seen people come to work who are not well, right? They're not sleeping well because of all of the stuff that's happening in the world. They're not processing things well, and it's because in our mind we have this idea of just keep winding, 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 and we're just going to keep magically getting this energy and be able to plug up to something, and we're going to give our 100% when we come to work, and that's just not the case. And so one of the things at what I've seen in a workplace that I would highly recommend, that I don't know why still in this day people don't know and they're unaware of, but get with your HR department to see what benefits you have available as it relates to EAP. Sometimes even within your insurance company, they may offer some type of services for you. That is an underutilized resource, and I do think people need to tap into that more. There are folks, let me tell you, there are folks who have tapped into EAP programs that long after they have left that organization. If you're wondering what EAP is, that's Employee Assistant Program. And so what it does is it allows you to meet with a counselor, or therapist, and kind of talk through some of the issues that you're going through currently. I have known folks that have utilized this so much to the point where once they've left that organization, they're still with that person that they ended up syncing with through that organization. That's how good of a resource it was for them. And so if you're not utilizing that, definitely go knock on your HR department's door today and ask them about that. Ask what your insurance covers. You want to make sure you're utilizing it not just for your physical health, but also for your mental health as well. And that's a benefit again that a lot of people are not aware of. I've seen people use it and it's helped them with their productivity. They've showed up to work a lot better. So make sure that you're utilizing that resource. The other thing, so my hat in HR, we're responsible for recruiting, we're responsible for compliance, ER, what we call employee relations, but I also carry a head of responsibility under OD, which is organizational development, climate, culture, all of that stuff as it relates to HR. One of the biggest things that I always see departmentally and organizationally is that a lot of times because people are not well when they come to work and people are just used to just keep going like that energizer bunny. Sometimes when we come to work, we get this nucleus of people that are negative in everything that we do. Um, A lot of times we're at work sometimes, which is another subject for another day, more than we are at home. And so we form this sub family of people around us as it relates to coworkers and things of that nature who are very negative. And when you talk about the culture in your workplace, listen, when you're already battling with some of the things that I just mentioned, our political state, law enforcement killing minorities, natural disasters, you're just piling on coming to work and talking about negativity at work. Okay. What do you think is happening to your mental state if you're piling on not only the responsibilities of life, but now you're taking on the responsibilities of work? A lot of times and oftentimes with things that have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with you. So guard your mind, even at work, even with the conversations that you have, even with the people you hang out with. I would say definitely that is a tip, is to make sure that you're mindful of that. A lot of times I see people come into organization, you want to talk about retention and culture and climate. You'll see people, I see it because I'm in HR, they come in, they're very happy. I just signed on. I'm excited about working for this company. It's a breakaway from home or whatever. And then maybe about 3 to 4 weeks, you circle back with that person and they've been infested with some of the folks that are there, and they're a totally different person. So guard your mind even when you're in your workplace. That is another tip that I wanted to leave you with because I see it a lot. And then my last one real quickly is go, if you have a great leader, talk to your leader. If you are going through something and you need time off, if you need to take a mental health day, if there's something that is um, causing you not to perform the way you need to perform before it gets outrageous or egregious, go and have a conversation with your leader. A lot of times when you have good leaders, a lot of leaders will recommend EAP to their staff or they'll recommend resources to their staff. So make sure you let your leader know what's going on. Sometimes they'll say, hey, maybe you should take a few days. You want to make sure that you're communicating what's going on because at the end of the day, I know you think of HR, you think of your leader, they are paying you to produce. But if you have something going on that may be hindering, or if that's a hindrance in that, and if you have a good leader, I use that caveat. If you have a great leader, let them know what's going on so that way you can foster a better relationship with them and that they can be of some type of support. And if your leader is a minority, because we're talking about mental health burdens on minorities, please, please keep in mind, in order for them to keep that seat that they're in right now, some of the things that they may be facing as well as a leader. What do you mean by that? If they're asking you to come to work on time, to do your due diligence, to show up, and you have not communicated, hey, I'm going through something, this, that, and the other, or if you're not even going through anything, just make sure we don't burden the seat of someone who's probably fighting to be in that seat, if you know what I mean. Make sure you're not burdening the seat of the person that is probably trying to make sure that there's equity within your workplace, making sure you have a seat at the table, making sure that things are aligned the way they're supposed to be. So consider your leaders. Tip one, EAP. Tip two, get around a good circle of positivity in your work environment. Culture and climate all is dependent on that. And then also make sure you're communicating with your leader. So I know we got some great tips from our mental health experts. I'm ready.
So I have a question first. When you say
Mhm,
don't burden your leader, okay, if you have
mhm,
a good leader, go talk to them, but
mhm.
don't burden them. What does that mean? Can you like break
Yes.
it down a little bit more?
So what I meant by that is don't make it hard for them to be in that seat. So if they're managing and they are asking you reasonably to be to work on time, be to work on time. If they're asking you to complete your assignments because remember they are being graded or appraised based on how well they're able to manage their team. So when they're placed in those seats, you want to make them shine. You want to make them shine. You don't want it to be where they can't manage their team or they're not meeting protocol or they're not meeting goals. And I will tell you from my professional experience, one, being a minority in corporate, but also seeing this play out in other places, a lot of times, sometimes we are harder on our own self in terms of following directives and making sure things go the way they're supposed to, than when we bring somebody else in. And that is a narrative, and that is something we have to kill at its roots. Because if we want to have a seat at the table, then we need to be champion for the people that have the seat at the table to make sure that equity is still something that's being practiced within that organization.
Gotcha. So, like I like to tell London, I will cooperate. What you're telling the people is go to work and cooperate. And if
Exactly.
there is a problem, talk to your leader and don't allow that problem with your mental health to
Right.
burden the leader by you. Gotcha. So
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
going to just mirror the 3 points on the mental health side. That
Mhm.
way, you guys don't have 6 different points. You have 3 points and a perspective from each. So, a EAP, as a current and former EAP professional on the mental
Mhm.
health side, you get the same therapist. You're not getting a low budget therapist because it's free versus your insurance. So
Right.
understand we're all one and the same. Now, I don't sit in the chair personally anymore as a therapist, but I still work crisis response team. So when there's a crisis in the workplace, I still will go and show up and support. The employee assistance program give you so many sessions. Some will give you X amount of sessions for each presenting problem. So if it's stress at work, bam, you get 3. If it's stress at home, bam, you get 3. And I have literally had clients that we worked through what they thought was on what was on fire, and then when we when the fire was out, there was smoke, and the smoke was choking them. So the issues change because the mental health is very layered. A
Yes.
lot of times what we're experiencing is rooted in our childhood trauma and unhealed trauma, and what we have currently we end up being triggered. So some of
Mhm.
us right now, with some of the things that's going on in our country, we're triggered back to George Floyd because we didn't touch that, and now it's like, oh my gosh, this is a woman, and the pleas are similar. And I didn't watch the video because I guard my eyes, my ears, everything. I'm
Mhm.
just not. So some of us have watched the video. If you have, that's something that you will need to get with a therapist to process, because otherwise it stays in a space that you don't tap into consciously, but subconsciously that's how you're moving through your day. So when
Mhm.
you're tired and fatigued and irritable, a lot of those are coming from not sleeping well at night, and you're not sleeping well at night because your brain is on repeat with the video or the comment or the information that you allow to come into your into to become part of your narrative. So use that employee assistant program.
Yeah.
Even if, let me say this, even if you do not have the insurance, that you don't carry insurance with your employer, you still qualify for EAP. You don't
Mhm.
have to pay for the insurance through the company to get the EAP services. The other thing, if you don't use them, y'all, they'd be like the first thing that's on the chopping block
Mhm.
is the EAP services. And it's not just for mental health. You can do financial,
Mhm.
childcare, elderly, on and on and on. But right now in this season, get your mind right.
Even, yeah.
Um, oh, hey, Miss Davis. Yes, come on in the room. If you have any
Mhm.
questions, please be sure to drop them to us. Oh, Lord, workplace culture and climate. First of all, I want y'all to see my shirt. It says Jesus had boundaries too.
Mhm.
You can find it on my website, lashastabell.com. In this season,
Mhm.
you need to understand what boundaries are and put boundaries in place, because there are certain conversations you don't even need to be having at work. How about that?
Mhm. Mhm.
Work is for work, play is for play. And I know we want to love and have friends at work, but remember the objective. I used
Right.
to tell people all the time, if you become my friend from work, it's because your work ethic is good. Because otherwise, we don't have anything to kick it about at work because we're working. But if you have a strong work ethic, then it's going to attract me, and then we can hang out outside of work. So keeping in mind that that's why you're there, and you're going to have boundaries. Now let's go back to sleep. Because if you're not taking your butt to bed, you're not going to be able to enforce any boundaries.
Right.
Or you'll put a boundary out there and you'll question if it's a really good boundary because your cognitive ability is slowed down, your ability to focus, to process the biases that come up, conscious and unconscious, you can't process them if you aren't well slept.
Right.
And trauma and drama is when we have it, the first thing we do is don't go to bed. I'm
Mm-hmm.
encouraging you to let that be the first thing that you do is go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is lots of things going on. We had a natural disaster. It was hot. We didn't have electricity. It was hard to sleep. You had to put an ice pack on your neck. You had to go stay on your cousin's couch. Whatever it is, go to bed
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost, because everything else is better when your brain can process the emotions and memories of the day and the learning of the day. The third tip, uh, Missy mentioned, Michelin mentioned, talk to your leader, if
Mm-hmm.
a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say a safe leader. You have to know who is safe and who is not safe in this season.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter if they look like you or they do not look like you.
Good point.
Safe does not have a color.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And you may say, well, LaShasta, how do I know if they're safe? Are they in the gossip?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear it from them? Did they tell you something somebody else said? Because if they did, they are not safe. Because if they telling other people business, they're gonna tell your business.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Mama used to say the same dog bringing the bone, it's the same dog carrying the bone. I ain't calling
Mm-hmm.
nobody no dog. I'm just quoting my mama.
Right. Right.
So you
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure that that leader is safe. I've worked in workplaces where the leader was not safe. The
Mm-hmm.
leader was steering the pot and trying to please everybody, but at the same time was creating friction with everyone to the point of sharing an email with me about me that someone else wrote. Now, I'm not gonna go to that person about my mental health.
Right. Right. Right.
So if your leader is not safe, then you find the next person above your leader that is, because we don't want you to be present, have presenteeism, where you show up at work but you're still absent, or
Mm-hmm.
absenteeism. Because if we go back to sleep, that is over a $411 billion problem in the US industry. And
Right.
that's not with the political climate, that's not including that, the
Right.
social injustices, the natural disasters. So you have to protect your peace by going to bed. You
Mm-hmm.
have to guard your mind by watching who you surround yourself with in the workplace and out of the workplace, and use your resources. And if you have insurance, use it. Go see your therapist. If you don't, use the EAP. And if you don't have either, you're like, oh, well, I'm unemployed or I work part time. There are resources and foundations that support minority mental health where they will give you so many sessions for free. And if not, hit your girl up, because we have associates and grad interns that are love the opportunity to work with individuals, and it's either free or very low cost. And it's not just me. I know plenty of clinicians around the US and around Texas that will support your mental health journey.
I have a question because you dropped some really good jewels. Um, you said trauma and drama, and then you talked about how that also aids into a lack of sleep. So I know a lot of times, at what I've seen when I've had to discipline people or do coaching, as you would say, in the workplace for folks being insubordinate or doing something that they wasn't supposed to do at work. A lot of times people feed into trauma and drama, but I don't think they understand how that ends up impacting them as it relates to sleep. And then at the end of the day, their productivity. So what you're feeding yourself is actually kind of killing you in a sense.
Absolutely. What I tell people is if you are an active listener, you are an
Hmm.
active participant.
Hmm.
So don't
Hmm.
tell me, oh, I was just listening. I didn't say anything. Well, active listening is on the top of communication skills
Right, right,
for emotional intelligence. So if
right.
you're talking to me and you bring in all the workplace gossip, even if I don't say a word, if I listen, I'm actively participating.
Mm. Hmm.
I can't
That's
unhear what I
good.
heard.
Right. You can't unhear you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think these are great tips. And if you use them, they're practical. I think if you use them, I know you're gonna show up better. And then at the end of the day, I know we gave 3 tips, but this may be like a bonus. If that space that you're in as it relates to work, the assignment that you're currently on is over, then it's time to pivot. It's so with the boundaries, that's part of a boundary. Yeah, it's time to pivot and do something else. A lot of times, I think we want to marry things that no longer serve us anymore to where we
Ooh,
are. and and for whatever reason we feel stuck, and we're not in a society right now where you should feel that way, because there are plenty of opportunities out there. There are folks who are at home making money that people would never imagine of. So know that you do have options, and if you feel like you don't, then do something about that. A lot of times we feel stuck because of situations we create, and we're not actively trying to get ourselves out of it. Make yourself a game plan, be wise, be strategic, and get yourself out of it's one thing to sit in a situation and just, oh, woe is unto me, but then there's another thing to actively pursue your way out of it. And so I think that is the other thing to kind of keep in mind as well, because at the end of the day, your depression, your productivity. And if you care, I keep using the word productivity because for me, my what I do in terms of HR is a gift. So when I show up, as LaShasta said earlier, I'm showing up to work. I'm showing up to serve. I'm showing up. How can I help you today? So if that is being hindered, I need to get into a space to where I can actively serve and bring my best. So this was good. Even for me, I took notes.
Good, right, and the bonus and to piggyback
Mhm.
is understanding we are loyal to people who will
Mhm.
reciprocate and not entities.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
My
Mhm.
husband told me a long time ago because I was struggling with the job and I wanted to stay, but they were doing all the things that was indicating that it was time for me to move on. And I was a school counselor, and he was like, "You don't be loyal to a building. You
Right.
loyal to people that are loyal to you." And
Right.
so understanding it's no longer a badge of honor to say you work somewhere for 20 years and you walking around with high blood pressure and diabetes and heart disease. Where you think it came from? Where you
Right.
spend the most of your time is in the workplace. So I love that you said that what we do is a gift. What you do is a gift. What I have
Mhm.
is a gift. And
Right.
if I'm in a space where I cannot serve people with my gift, then I need to get up out of there. Like
Right.
it deuces. So
Right.
understand if you're not operating in your gift, first of all, you're wrong. You're out
Right. Right.
in your gift and serve the people with your gift. Serve whomever needs to be served with your gift in whatever capacity. If you're in a workplace where you are utilizing your gift and now the climate and the culture has changed and you can't or you're begrudging when you do it,
Mhm.
it's time to create a strategic exit plan. And Michelin can help you with that.
I sure can. I can definitely help you with that. Like I said, we love what we do, and there's a way you can pivot. There's a way you shouldn't, and but there's a way you can and be strategic about it. If you need resources, because some people may be watching this and they may say, "Oh, we need this at my organization. We need Michelin or we need La Shasta." You can find us. I'll say my handle. I'm over at HR Growth Spurts on LinkedIn, also on Instagram and Facebook. Reach out to us. We are here to serve and to help. We want to make your organization better. We want to make your culture better. Will do our due diligence in trying our best to do that. We want to work with your leaders. We want to work with your leadership team. So if you want to see some of this, or you feel like some of this needs hearing, or a uh, like, taking place in your work organization, definitely reach out to us, and we can definitely get you on the calendar.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christy. Um, Christy says she's a living witness. Both of you has what it takes to get everyone to their next level. Yes and amen. You can find me at lashastabell.com. That's the best place to go. Go to the website. Everything else you need is there. I specialize in sleep with in implementation through corporate wellness programming. Also, I call myself a business therapist because
Mhm.
for the entrepreneurs and the leaders, you need a safe space,
Mhm.
and I'll be that. All
This
right,
was
y'all. Y'all
good.
lunch break almost over, or y'all
Yeah,
just waking up or going to bed. So we don't want to hold y'all. We had a good time. And
it
here's the
was.
thing.
Mhm.
We are here. If there are topics that you want us to go more in depth with as it relates to the intersect of human resources and mental health, or human resources and corporate wellness, hit our inbox. Like we love, love, love doing this.
Yes, and there are tons of topics we can talk about. If you have received a DCR, which is a disciplinary counseling record, and you want to know how to navigate through that, because you know that will play into your mental state as well. We can both kind
Absolutely.
of we can talk about that because sometimes we have to take some introspection as to why we're showing up the way we're showing up, or how we can pivot from that perspective. So whatever the topic is, definitely let us know and we will be talking to you
Hmm.
soon.
And AKA what she just said is if you got wrote up, because I love how Missy make it real PC. If you got wrote up and you don't understand why you got wrote up, we here to check you to make sure it's not you and it's them. But
Right.
more than likely it's you because you got wrote up. All right, we go. We got y'all take care. Stay hydrated, stay rested, and stay out of other folks' business.
Yes, the boundaries.